and how to actually find your way if you're a student, because again, you're going to see a lot of brilliant kids, very, very smart. As I mentioned to you yesterday, don't be surprised if you find out that in your class there is somebody who also goes to Juilliard, or there is somebody who has performed at Carnegie Hall, or if there is somebody who plays tennis on a national level. These are some of the kids, and they're extremely successful and they're bright. But the reason why they're so bright, just to remind everybody, is because their parents help them organize their time and organize their efforts. So, um, everybody, well, people are gonna cling to each other. There will be some kids who are looking for nothing more than to have like parties and have a great time, and that's all they're gonna talk about. And some of them are going to be dressed in a very funny way. I want you all to expect that. And I know Michelle is smiling because she knows exactly what I'm talking about. And actually, back in the days when my daughter was attending, there was this push for pronouns. And that was a little bit strange for me, but that is the culture. And I understand that Hunter is a very, I should say, they're ahead of the curve with the culture and whatever the new norms that are appropriate. And they're a very liberal school. And at least this is my opinion. I did not see anything conservative in that school, or anyone for that matter. So, but just to be aware, and if your family happens to have different beliefs, if you're more conservative, you as parents, should be discussing with your children what is going on, and how they are to understand the world. So nobody took away your responsibility as the parent. Now, let's go back to what we started talking about yesterday. There's going to be a club fair. Correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, but it's usually taking place in the courtyard. People put out the tables, they put out banners for a different club. So the students have an opportunity to stop by and chat with every club representative and decide if they want to join the club. As I mentioned to you yesterday, try to be very intentional. If this is something that your child is interested in or sees their future in, by all means, they should really try to join the club. At the beginning, they're going to be just a member, but as time goes by, they're going to start occupying more of the uh, officers of the club position. So maybe they would be a president of the club by the time they get to the 11th grade. And it's going to be very important so that they could put that on their college application. And again, the key here is to pick something that the child really likes. You don't want them to go like, ugh, I have to go to the chess club again. Ugh, but I need that for college. Listen, there are so many different clubs, there are so many different activities that your child can pick from. And there, they're going to meet new friends. Again, this is important. Instead of them tagging along and trying to join the group where they don't belong, they need to join the activity that they like. And there they're going to find the kids who are like them, who are going to be interested in the same things. And that's probably, in my view, that's the better way of making friends. Now, they're going to need to make friends. Okay. And I also want to call on the parents, because parents themselves um, need to, or I would recommend that they meet other parents so that they nonchalantly talk to other parents. And that's how they make friends as well. And that is also important because I'll give you an example. At some point, I don't remember if it was in the seventh grade or the eighth grade. So the schedule was such that they had a physical education class followed by a math class. So the problem was that it took them kind of like extra couple of minutes to get changed from the phys ed class and go to the math class that was like actually across the building. So as the result, everybody would come in late, report late to the math class. And so what actually happened was that the teacher, math teacher, said that so many absences and they would drop the grade by half a grade. Like you could only be absent that or like late that many times. Because in the syllabus that they give you at the beginning of the semester, they always tell you, like, you cannot be absent more than twice or three times. And if you are and you don't have a note, they're going to drop your grade.
Yeah.
So you want, go ahead, Michelle.
I was
I
just
want you
gonna
to
add,
chime in.
yeah, Hunter has this rule where if you're like absent for more than 25% of classes, then you automatically fail the class. Like this includes like unexcused absences as well, and like also excused. Yeah, and like two latenesses counts as an absence.
Correct. So they have a system in place that encourages everybody to report to class on time. So in this particular case, there was an issue, and I was, I remember that it was a parent teacher conference, and I was stopped in the hallway by a mom of the two girls, they're twins, and she said to me, like, oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And because there were so many kids that this happened to, they listened to us and they kind of like waived that situation because we as parents got together and we said, no, 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 let's write up a letter to Dr. Fisher and explain the situation because we cannot do that. And you know, in the math class, you work so hard, and it would be a shame if they drop your grade by a couple of points, you know. So nobody wanted to see that. But because we were friendly parents, we were able to get together on that. So this is an example of where you would want to know other parents, um, because ultimately it would like really help you. So that said, and again, just to repeat myself, I think that you should encourage your children not to tag along with a group where they don't belong, but instead try to find your own niche, your people who are like you, who like the same things. So that would really enhance, the just the well-being and just the mood and the attitude of your child. Also, so that you know, I think starting in the seventh grade, there will be dances, school dances. Um, I don't know. I have not been present at one, but based on what my daughter told me at that time, nobody really knows how to dance, but everybody stands around and jumps up and down when a decent song comes on. All right. So, again, I would recommend that your child attends that because, from what I understand, nobody's going to show like, you know, and class exhibition and ballroom dancing. Not going to happen. Everybody's just going to stand in one place and jump up and down. So if your child is there, it's just like for a good measure, and it's good for their social life, and it's good for them to click on to some people, and they could just say, "Oh my God, look at that guy! Look what he's wearing!" Whatever. So, but overall, for them, it's probably is a good thing because we allowed our daughter to attend, and there are a lot of people who are chaperoning. Again, if you're a parent and you're able to go and chaperone, I was not able to go chaperone, but if you are, I think you should do it by all means. This would allow you to hang out with the principal, with with all the other assistant principal, with all the other people. So the more you know, not only you should as a parent try to get to know other parents, you should also try to get to know as many teachers as possible, because chances are that teacher is going to teach your child, maybe if not this year, then next year or the year after. So it's just good to be a recognizable face. So yes, I'm trying to think what else. Okay, there will be a trip to Bear Mountain, and that is happening every single year. And it happens, I want to say, in early October or mid October, when the weather is still beautiful, and you're asked to bring your kids to school like at the crack of dawn. I don't know, by 7 a.m., they all have to report to school because they count them, and then the buses are leaving exactly at a particular time. So they're asking that the child is not late. So again, I never chaperone that. But if there is an opportunity and you can take time off from work to chaperone, I think it's a great thing to do. So I would recommend that you do that because it's very picturesque. It's beautiful, Bear Mountain, that time of the year. You see the leaves are changing color, the air is nice and fresh. The kids play, they throw the football around. Somebody is just sitting and drawing something. Somebody is sitting under the tree reading a book. Others go hiking. I mean, there are so many activities, and also it gives you the opportunity to bond with other parents or with the teachers. And it gives your children the opportunity to hang out with their friends outside of the school in fresh air. So, Michelle, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to want to have your input on that. I'm sure you've gone to a few of those.
Oh yeah,
So,
definitely.
did you like
Um,
that?
Yeah, I loved it. I would say so like this day we kind of talked about it a bit before too, but it's called like Spirit Day. Um
Okay.
and it's like around the same week as the club fair, I think. I think like it definitely like had like some of like my best memories of Hunter there. It's also just like such a beautiful place. And I feel like yeah, like you said, like there's no short of activities to do. Sometimes the GO, like the student body the student council, they also have like they make like s'mores and like hot dogs, and they also have like painting activities and like a lot of like friendship bracelets, stuff like that. So they really try to make it as fun as possible.
Right. One word of warning, do send sunscreen because I didn't, and my daughter came back always like looking red because the sun there, because they're outside the whole day, and if it's a sunny day you do need sunscreen, and that I figured was like one of the things that I didn't you know encourage her to do, and I should have, the hat, the sunscreen. So that is a fun thing to do. I'm trying to think outside of dances, the clubs. Oh, they also, I know definitely before Christmas, that they have those shows that students put up, and those are absolutely great. So I do encourage you guys to come and watch the kids perform, and it's usually on a like Friday afternoon or like a Saturday evening, something like that. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, so right before winter break, I think you're talking about like the chorus
Yes.
and jazz. Yeah. So yeah, those are usually available to parents. I would say now they've been around like jazz is like Tuesday and then the chorus is Wednesday, but I'm sure the schedule changes like throughout the year.
Right. So I encourage parents to go if they can, because some of those performances are really given during the evening after work. If you're a working parent, you're going to be surprised the proficiency with which these kids perform. Some of the productions, they're close to Broadway shows. You're going to have a lot of fun and you're going to be very proud to watch the kids, even if they're other people's kids. You'd be surprised by the level of proficiency of those kids. So this is just my personal take on those events. I'm trying to think what other social events that you guys have throughout school. One of the things that I remember, one of the mothers that I was very friendly with, her son was taking violin lessons, and as it turned out, he was able to take free violin lessons twice a week in school by the teacher who is teaching the music class. At least at that time, I'm sure teachers changed, but he got very specific instructions that the mother shared with me how much she enjoyed, and the fact that she didn't really have to pay for it. So, if it's still going on, I want you guys to, if that's something that you're interested in, you need to explore the possibility of doing that. So my daughter uh, painted, but she never painted in school because she also had tennis classes. She also had like other extracurricular. When she started, she was also doing rhythmic gymnastics. So that was in Queens. So the idea was for her to be on that train home right away because there was a long list of things that she needed to do. But if the schedule allows, and we talked yesterday a lot at nauseum, I would say, about the schedule and finding out when your child's most productive time of the day is, so that you can actually use that to their good use when you are helping them put together their schedule for the day, for the week, for the month, whatever it is. So, balancing academics and social life. The kids are going to be busy. There is nothing new that I could tell you that I didn't tell you already. If you have free time here and now today, use that for whatever is due in 2 or 3 weeks. I know I'm repeating myself, but this is super, super important because there will always be something of interest, because they will all of a sudden send out an invitation to something that your child absolutely has to attend. I know that when it gets warmer, they have, is that the circus? There is something that they have outdoors when they bring out, um, I forgot what is it. It's like
Carnival?
a Luna Park. What is it?
Carnival?
Yeah, it's a carnival type of thing, right? So that's like another fun thing that the kids get to do towards, towards the end of the school year. And that is fun. And I remember at some point there was a day when um, pets were brought in. Then there was a day when everybody went to school wearing pajamas. I'm sure they all have a pajama day still. So there are a lot of fun things to look forward to. So it's not just work, work, work and projects, 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 and test, test, test. Yeah, you're going to have plenty of that. But at the same time, I mean, to all the credit to the school administration, they're trying to balance the situation with giving kids these opportunities to have fun together. So, again, balancing the academics and social life is really, really important, because what we try to do in our family, there are holidays, there are grandparents coming in, and I absolutely would ask my daughter to see how we can fit into her schedule family situations where I would want for her to socialize with the family and grandparents and not feel like, oh my God, I have 3 minutes to say hello to you, and then I need to whisk myself away and study for that math test. Yes, so we all know that. Again, the planning is very, very important, and especially in the seventh grade and maybe in the eighth grade. Parents' involvement, I believe, is absolutely necessary.
And Alla, I want
So,
to just take 1 minute to say thank you
yeah.
so much for saying that. I was catching up with a student who used to go to Kweller and now she's tutoring. And she was just telling me that she made a last minute cancellation on a 3 week trip to Europe because she's so busy getting ready for the DAT, taking physics. She's afraid of getting a B or C or D in physics. And it was just a quick catch up to see her fall work schedule at Kweller Prep. But I mean, her dad, the parents are separated, and I just want to let you know the dad he's on the hook for the bill for this Europe trip because he plans a trip. She can't do it. She can't go. So it's so good that you're addressing this issue because this really is an issue is to work around your child's study schedule when you're organizing trips and vacations and time. Thank you so much for bringing this up. I just had this conversation earlier. Thank you again.
No problem, because I remember my daughter would come home and say, "Well, there is this and that and the other going on in school at school, and I want to be a part of it, and I want to be a part." And my husband was like, "Are you crazy? You're doing A, B, C, D, and all the other things." And I never said no. I always said, "Okay, let's take a look at your schedule. You tell me, I want my child's involvement. I want my child to tell me where in the schedule does she think that she can fit that. How? Like, we can take away an hour from here or an hour from there. We cannot have them not sleep. Another thing that I really want to stress is the need for sleep, because you don't want the kids to try to get those straight A's and everything at the cost of their sleep. It's not going to help anybody. You're going to have neurotic kids. There are a certain number of hours the kids need to sleep, and it would not serve them right if they work. They're not horses, they're human beings. They need to grow, they need their sleep. So my daughter needed between 8 and 9 hours of sleep a day, which is not little. There were kids in school whose parents told me that they were okay with 5 hours of sleep. Maybe so, not my child. My child needed more. So, to that end, we once again went to the drawing board and we looked at the schedule and we tried to see what and how we can shift. Because to this day, she knows that I would never say no. I would always say, okay, but let's see how we can make this work. And it also helps your child to learn how to fix their schedule to accommodate themselves, and it creates a sense of responsibility. They're taking responsibility for their actions. If they really want something, that's fine. If they really want to spend like an hour on the sofa just staring into the ceiling, that's fine too. But they need to know that they would somehow need to fit that activity into their schedule. But I would definitely say try to make sure that your kids get enough sleep. And it goes back to what we talked about. What is their productive time of the day? What is not? So, okay. So that is how, I would balance the academics and social life. Try talking to your children. Try to get their recall of events. Like, yes, I went there. Oh, really? How was it? If you tell them how was it, they're going to say, fine, great, everything was fine. Well, that's it. Tell me more. Like, I would try to ask my questions in the event, uh, about the events, in a way that would sort of allow her to elaborate other than tell me, okay, good. All right. Like I would say, well, oh, how many children went hiking? Were there a lot of kids? No, really? What was the most popular activity? What the kid, like, if we were talking about the picnic out in Bear Mountain, things like that, right? The Spirit Day. So, and I would be like, oh, I'm just wondering, why would they call it the Spirit Day? Things like that. Talk to your children, because when you do, allow them to allow you to help them with their schedule. With like, okay, talk to them. They are very bright kids, and they are in a very interesting age where they're not adults yet, but yet they're not little children. So they can tell you what would work best for them. So you can actually have a conversation and create a sense of trust that they understand you're there to help them. So that is important. If you are trying to tell them that they need sleep, they don't understand that they need the sleep. Okay, they don't. If you have an article, bring it up. Let them see it. Okay, you're a grown up. Here is an article written by the doctors saying that kids need sleep. Because the truth of the matter is, kids grow during their sleep, and nobody wants to be short. People do want to be tall, and kids need to understand the importance of sleep, and that goes back to their how they're going to perform. Also, if you are able to feed your child breakfast, please do that, because I know what they did at Hunter, and or at least they said they were going to do it. They would bring up like breakfasts in brown bags and put them out at the entrance. So, in case a child did not have an opportunity to eat breakfast at home, they would come into school and grab that brown bag. And there was like, I don't know, an English muffin or a bagel of some sort, or something was there. So, I know they always said they were going to do it. Did they do it? I don't know, because I was never there early in the morning. So maybe it was just a promise
I
that
don't
never
think
came to
so.
life.
Yeah.
Okay. So, oops, sorry. So they said they were going to do it. Maybe they did it originally when my daughter was in the seventh grade. Uh, I don't know if they continued with that. Um, So, what else did I want to say? The sleep, the food, the activities, we covered that, right? So, let me see if there are any questions. I'm going to stop now and see if anybody has any questions, um, and I will answer them. Um, so, my daughter's first friends. I will tell you, there was a story. I thought it was a very interesting story. And my daughter had made friends with this girl, and somehow, young teens, then somebody says something nasty about somebody to their friends, and then somehow it comes back to the person whom it was said about. Like all this that we as grown-ups stand back and go, oh my God. But anyway, that is going on. It's a part of growing up. So there was a girl that was originally my daughter's friend, and then something went bad and whatever. But to the credit of that girl, she is currently third year at Yale. Um, that girl wrote my daughter a very nice letter by the end of the school year. And she said, I need you to forgive me because I was hanging out with you. I wanted to do what you do, and I wanted to be better than you, and I wanted to have better grades. I never did, but I always tried. So I did, in fact, say something bad about you to my friends. I need you to forgive me. And to me, it was a shock that somebody that young would have the maturity of doing that. My daughter was shocked too. But I will say, um, when my daughter started, she already had 6 kids whom she knew that came from her elementary school. My daughter did her 6th grade at PS, I know what number that is, at Russell Sage. You guys would probably know Russell Sage School, right across the street from 112th Precinct here in Queens. And interestingly, in her class, there were 6 kids who got accepted to Hunter College High School. So they already came in knowing each other. So it was like, it's not like she did not know a single soul. And then my daughter was going to Kweller Prep to study for that Hunter test. And she made some friends there. And some of those kids actually made it to Hunter. So she already knew a couple of kids. From my daughter's gymnastics class, there was somebody who got accepted to Hunter. So there was another. So my daughter was coming in already, whether she likes it or not, she knew about 10, 15 kids right then and there. So it's not like she didn't know anybody. And then there were some kids that she recognized because when she took the Hunter test, we were standing in this long line that went around the block in the city and at Hunter College. So my daughter recognized a couple of kids who were like in front of us, somebody was behind us on line. And so my daughter said, or they approached my daughter saying, "Hey, I remember you. We were online together." Okay, so yes, it's not easy for the kids to approach somebody and say, "Well, yeah, I remember you. I know who you are." Or "I don't know who you are, but I remember I saw you there and there." So, but they kind of find their way.
And
There were,
Alla, I want to add really quickly.
yeah, go ahead.
I just want to do a quick notice. We used to give kids these cute little like Harvard hats. Now we do blue hats. And I just want to add so that all of you know that this is really funny. So one of the parents sent me a video of the kids leaving the Hunter exam, and there was an ocean of hats from Kweller Prep, highlighters, pencils, markers, pencil boxes, rainbow highlighters. So you'll be surprised at how at Kweller Prep you're going to meet your future Hunter friends. So I do want to add that in. Okay, go right ahead.
All right. So the next question is, how long did it take you to feel like you fit in at school? So one thing I want to say, and they're going to tell you, all the teachers are going to tell you, everybody who was accepted totally, totally and fully belongs in the school. Okay? You took the test just like everybody else. You aced that test just like everybody else. The competition is stiff. You made it to the school. You totally belong in that school. You are going to see a variety of kids. Some kids are going to be buttoned up all the way up. Others are going to be boys with the colorful manicure. You know, you're going to see the entire variety. But somehow, Hunter is the place where everybody belongs. Okay. Some kids, well, Michelle says they're also free. Exactly. Everybody is free. Oh, are we talking about something else? I thought that she was talking about the kids, but it doesn't matter. But you will see how the kids are. Everybody belongs. And at some point, when let's say you get your first test back, right? And you don't get the grade that you thought you were going to get. You know how sometimes you think, "Oh my God, I aced that test. I did so well. I did unbelievably well." And then 2 days later, they give you your test back and you get like a C. And you go like, "Really?" wait a minute, how is it possible? It happened to all of us, it happened to the best of us. And you start doubting and going like, oh my God, everybody in this world got an A, and I'm the only one who got a C. Well, you need to stop right then and there. And as parents, you need to prepare your children, to something like that happening. It may happen. You may not like that grade, but nothing is the end. Remember how we talked about yesterday? This is the beginning of your new life today. So you look at the test, you realize what you did wrong, you know that you're smart. You know absolutely there is nothing there that would put you outside of that scope of kids who need to belong. You really belong there. You need to figure out what you did wrong. You need to understand, did you study correctly for the test? This is something that you can actually ask the teacher. Stay behind after school. Go see the teacher and say, hey, listen, I know I didn't do well on this test. How do I best study for your test? And the teacher will tell you. They will say, okay, let's see, what did you do? Okay, why don't you try this, that, and the other? Happened all the time, happened every time that there were some kids who needed to approach the teacher and say, hey, what am I doing wrong? So I encourage you to take advantage of that and don't doubt ever, not for a second, you belong there. Okay. Is there much bullying? You know, the school is actively pushing against bullying. They have policies. They would give you the Hunter School conduct booklet. It's gonna like describe what type of behavior is appropriate, what type of behavior is not appropriate. I believe that parents need to sign that the child understood the context of this book. Um, it's I'm trying to think, or it's now available online. But when my daughter started school, they asked both parents and children to sign that they understand that bullying is inappropriate. I We did not have that experience. I know that my daughter never came home from school and told me that she witnessed something like that. I I don't I don't know. I cannot say. Michelle, what's your input?
Sorry, I would just like to say, I think like there isn't any like direct bullying in Hunter. I've never seen instances of that. Like, I think sometimes in Hunter, like since especially it's so small, that like certain groups, like friend groups, might be like more disparate from each other, but like definitely like no like direct like teen movie bullying happens for sure.
Right. Well, as I said, sometimes if you don't belong in a group, if you don't feel welcomed, listen, there are so many extracurricular activities in that school.
Exactly.
There are so many different classes. You will find your own niche. You will find. So, my daughter had a couple of kids in her class that were a little different from the rest of the world. One of the kids used to sit during the tests and he would just think and like he would go like this. The whole class is now taking a math test and this kid is going like this because that helps him think. Okay. So there were kids like, stop it. Now, okay, the teacher would go, and then all of a sudden, I swear to you, this kid gets up in the middle of the test and he's all frustrated and he throws all of his pencils and pens on the floor. Okay. So the teacher took him out of the class. They talked to him because anything can happen. Some kids are more emotional than others. So, again, then there was a kid in her class who was a very high functioning autistic kid, and he was a little bit different from everybody else because of his social skills that were a little bit different from everybody else. But I will say, by the time that they all got to the graduation, This kid totally blended. He was just like everybody else. But when the school started, he was very different. But I will also say that his parents, his mother, I remember, she was extremely involved in school. She was in school a lot more, probably, than all the other parents. But I will say by the end of the school, I had so many conversations with this kid. He was like a totally normal kid. And I think he went to Rochester, University of Rochester. Um, because you get to know parents, and then you know where the kids ended up at the end of the school. But I will say again, all the kids ended up in very, very good schools. There is no question about that. So, is the attention based on class, race, socioeconomics? My daughter had friends of all the different races and socioeconomics. Okay, listen. There were kids um, whose parents, they actually lived in that area, and a lot of parents were professional people, and some kids, they lived on Park Avenue in actually, they were of a better socioeconomic class. However, the school treats everybody the same, and I could say that my daughter had friends that were, from all the different walks of life. So race is definitely not an issue. I also thought that the school was very interesting because they had a lot of interracial kids, and I thought they were like so cute and adorable and bright. And I remember there was a kid who played with my daughter in the middle school tennis class. The kid was half Japanese and half Indian, and this kid was so brilliant. He was coding even in the seventh, eighth grade. This kid was coding. Like, companies were willing to pay him a lot of money for his skill. And he ultimately ended up at Columbia University. And I remember I talked to his parents, very, very lovely people. And the kid was so adorable, and he was such like a young kid, but you could see that he had such a good heart. He was such a nice kid, and most of the kids in school are very nice kids. They actually look in your eyes when they talk to you. They look at you, they talk to you. And that was the first thing that struck me about this school, is that even the kids who would take your kids for a walk around the school just to show you around. This is where our lab is, this is where our gym is. But everybody was so open and like, you know, really nice and kind and considerate. And I just thought it was very refreshing. So, the answer to your question, if there is tension, I would say, if anything, there would be less tension than at a regular school. This is just my personal experience, and I see Michelle is nodding, and probably there is less. You don't need, I, I would say you don't need to worry about that, right? So, yes, so then there is a nice comment that Michelle put in, that there are lots of kids from middle schools, Lab Nest and Anderson, that end up at Hunter. That is true. And they know each other. So they already have friends. What I told you was the experience of my daughter, who came from Russell Sage. In the sixth grade, she was at PS 174. Then for the sixth grade, she went to Russell Sage. From Russell Sage, she went to Hunter. From Hunter, she went to Penn. And we're still at Penn. We have one more year left. So this is where my daughter went. And I think that you don't need to worry about those things. Okay, Eleanor wants to know commuting, about the commute. Okay, so there were a couple of things that we did. So there were us and two other kids that live in our neighborhood, and they encourage parents to get to know each other, to get to know who is in your neighborhood. And one of the fathers said that his work schedule allows them to drive the kids to school in the morning. So we would chip in for their gas money. And there was some time that he took the kids to school. Coming back from school, they actually did not go together because one of the kids had track and field practice. The other kid had a soccer practice. My daughter had the instructions of like, get on the train, come home, because you have this, that, and the other to do. So that would be that. Um, Also, if you know who the kids are that are traveling from, let's say, who live in your neighborhood, I would say get to know them, get to know the parents, because the strength is in the numbers, especially with the seventh graders. You don't want your kid to, like, you know, I didn't like my daughter to travel on the subway alone, but I felt much easier if she traveled with two other kids. So they would get together at the train station here in Queens, and they would agree to meet at a certain time, and they would take the train together. And that worked. That was good. Yes, Michelle.
There's also, well, I lived in Flushing, and in seventh grade, my mom signed me up for this like outside van service that transported, I would say, like around like me and like six other kids from school and back. I think it like goes around, it probably like serves from like Flushing to Bayside. So if that's also an option, that also works. But yeah.
Right. So if that's an opportunity for you, because I know that I think there was, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe there was like an association of Chinese students or Korean students
Yeah.
that the parents chipped in and got the transportation. So if you can join that group and see if that works for you, there's a bus leaving early in the morning. And it's also good because kids make friends on the bus. So not a bus, but it's like a minibus, kind of a thing. So you guys may want to explore that opportunity. Okay. But so it's really, there is no tragedy is with about coming home with friends. Like my daughter would even come home with friends all the way to Roosevelt Avenue on the train, and then somebody needed to switch to a number 7 train, and my daughter would need to take the local train. So they would switch trains at that point, but at least most of the way they would go together. And as they grow older, that's fine. Because also, I believe in the 8th grade, they're going to have swimming. And swimming is going to take place at Hunter College. So that's not going to be taking place at Hunter College High School. It will take place at Hunter College. And the kids need to be there early in the morning. I believe there are only certain hours that the high school or Hunter School gets the use of the swimming pool. So, and everybody has to do it. It's not like you can sit out or you could switch your activity to something other than swimming. No, everybody's swimming. So they're going to ask you to buy them a one-piece swimming suit if you're a girl. I have no idea what the boys will be asked to wear, but something tells me probably also something very conservative looking. But anywhoods, um, the kids will be taking the train. So if they become familiar with the route in the seventh grade, even if you have to take them a couple of times, and I did that, I took my daughter quite a few times just to make sure she's comfortable, just to make sure she knows where to change the train. Because prior to that, we didn't take subway too often. This is the truth. So we used to drive everywhere. So all of a sudden now we need to take the subway. So I did go with my daughter quite a few times just to make sure that she is that she knows where to go. And even with that, coming back from school, she one time took the train in the wrong direction. And she ended up on 42nd Street, or it was Penn Station. It was somewhere that was, that she realized she was at the wrong place. And she got a little panicky, but she knew to go over to the police officer and say, here's where I need to go. And she was directed. And as a matter of fact, it was a very interesting experience that she wrote a little book about, and that was one of the projects. And she illustrated herself with her backpack, with her hairstyle, and she's like taking the train in the wrong direction. She was able to describe that experience of her in the seventh grade. So anything is possible, but again, as parents, you need to prepare them. And I'm glad that at that point, my daughter found the right thing to do. She went over not to just anybody, she went over to the police officer and she said, I'm lost. I need to find my way. So your children need to be comfortable with doing that as well if they're not used to being in the subway, as my daughter was not.
I
Okay.
would also
So,
say, for commuting, if you take the subway, like please don't lose your Omni card. It's like a thin, flimsy piece of paper, and it like sometimes you sometimes like end up losing it, or like it sometimes just like ends up like demagnetizing, and you have to like wait like around a week to get it replaced. So for sure, I would say just keep it with you at all times.
right. So the kids get a free card to use for transportation. Okay. So, yeah, that is the card that Michelle was just describing. So, in case you're wondering, yeah, at some point within the first week, right, they give out those cards. So, everybody's going to get theirs. And yeah, try not to lose that. So, about lunch, my daughter is a school lunch kid. Um, I just never had time to make lunch for her. I know some of you may be surprised because I am a pretty much involved parent, but there was an opportunity to like go to the cafeteria and have free lunch. At that time, they provided free lunch. I don't know if they're doing it now. I have no idea because if there are any changes in the way that city is run, because a lot of things I'm sure changed between that time when my daughter was at school. Now, the school also has a policy of open doors. That means that they allow the kids to get out of the building for lunch. And nobody's really watching your kids. They go out with their friends outside and they're actually out on the street and they need to report back for their class after lunch. So it's just the nature of the school. And again, you need to discuss with your children where they're going and how long it's going to take them to get back to school, not to be late for their after lunch class. So again, it's on you as parents to have that. So in case you guys are writing up a list of things that you would need to discuss. You have plenty of time between now and when the school starts. And, and you can just do it twice a week. Say, okay, I think we should discuss this thing now. We should discuss lunch and what are we going to do for lunch? Are you going to pack them a sandwich? Are you going to have them go down to the cafeteria, grab something? Are they going to go out and buy something outside? I don't know. I think the first two choices would be the safest, at least at the beginning in the seventh grade. So that's all I have to say about that. To leave the school to buy lunch. Um, I think that like, do you think I know all the truth? Do you think I know all the time that she left the school for lunch? I don't know.
Um,
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I remember as a seventh grader, I would always like go out for lunch like in groups, especially because I would say like even though the Upper East Side is a very safe neighborhood, I think it's always good to just, like be with other people. Also like a lot of Hunter students will be often around lunch places, so like often if you go to those, like it may feel safer and like they're very frequented, so they're very good places for sure.
Right. And sometimes, you know what? There is a day when they give them additional time for lunch. And
Yeah.
yeah, when
Yeah.
when does that happen?
So that's Wednesday. It's because like on Wednesday, there's no official class or no homeroom class. And so like therefore your activities period is like 15 minutes longer. So yeah, that's a great.
Right. So I do know that she used to definitely on those days, she would go out with a group of kids and yeah, and have lunch with the kids. And I don't know of many other times. Maybe she just didn't tell me. My assumption was she went to the cafeteria and grabbed the cafeteria lunch. But I'll never know. And that's fine. Thank God nothing ever happened. So that's all. Um, yeah, in the seventh grade, but again, it's best that they do it in the group, because I don't even know if anybody went out by themselves. I think that's, you know,
Yeah, I think it's
um,
pretty rare. I think a lot of people just tend, if whenever they go outside anyway, to just stay around like a 5 block radius of Hunter. Like often the like farthest they go out would be like 86th Street or something. So yeah.
right. So I do have a question. What time do doors open at Hunter and kids eat breakfast? I don't, I know it's early. I know that some kids have activities before the school starts. There are certain activities that take place before the first period. So I again, if I believe what I was told that the breakfast they could always grab the breakfast there at school, that happened at least probably at least an hour before the first period. But again, there is a security guard downstairs, right? And you can't just like walk in and out. So even if you get there early, I don't want your kids standing around on the street. I mean, they should really go in and tell the security guard, like, okay, I'm in the seventh grade, I'm here. Like, let me in. Yes, Michelle.
Oh, I was stretching. But yes, I was going to say, so I think doors open at 7:30. But I've never gotten breakfast there, but I think like some students said it was free. And if it was free before, I'm sure it should still be free now. Um,
Right.
Also, Hunter, like the GO or like the student council also has like something called free breakfast, which is basically like they serve like donuts and coffee and like some like hot chocolate from Krispy Kreme. at around like 7:30 to around like 8:20. So like, if you're just like walking to school, you can like pick it up on your way to class, which is nice.
Right. And it also gives you an opportunity to hang out with some other kids who get to school early. So this is another opportunity to make new friends. Everywhere as you turn around, there is always an opportunity to meet a new friend. Um, Question: what time can kids enter the building in the morning? So we just addressed that, right? Um, so as Michelle just mentioned, that as far as she knows, there is like some kind of breakfast available for free in the morning. So lunch is still free. They stopped serving it around 11:30. They stopped serving lunch. So again, kids will have lunch, I believe, at different times. Some kids would go out right early. I don't believe that they all come out at the same time.
I think so. Seventh graders and eighth graders have like lunch like at 10:30 and end at like 11:50, while like the rest of the school, their lunch all starts at 11:20 to like 12:38. Um,
Right.
so what happens is like some kids, if they have like club meetings, if they just want to stay inside and do homework, they like do that and they like leave, like just throughout the period because there's a 90-minute window.
Then there is another issue because you have the school that spans from seventh grade all the way through the 12th. So the size of a 12th grader is probably the double of the size of the seventh grader. So there is a reason why they don't let them out all at the same time because they don't want the big kids who are playing, let's say, basketball, they're shooting hoops to run over the little kids because that's never good. So they're trying to stagger their outdoor time so that they all don't kill each other. So, to avoid accidents. Um, yeah. And I also remembered, I just like all of a sudden remembered once my daughter had her sandwich or whatever, the weather was good. She turned around, she couldn't find any of her friends. So she was by herself. She went outside and she sat down and she was eating her sandwich. And all of a sudden, somebody who was an upperclassman came by, sat next to her, and said, "Hey, can I have lunch with you?" So, as I said, kids are like that there. So she probably figured that my daughter is there all alone and she just wanted to keep her company. Or maybe this girl was all alone and she noticed that my daughter was alone. So my daughter was very happy she made a friend. And I remember her coming home and telling me that. So these are the kind of kids that are there. Yes, there will be kids who think that they're cool and they're cooler than others and they're more popular than others, like clueless type of kids, right? But by far, most of them, about 80%, are really, really good kids. So, and they're like really trying to be inclusive and empathy was also one of the words that Tony Fisher tried to make it a word of the year, a word of the month, and they explain to kids what that means and they encourage them to practice that. So I really can't even say enough how impressed I was with some of the things that were done at that school. So, yeah. Let's see, do we have any more questions? No, we do not have any more questions.
I would just like to
Go
add
ahead.
add one last thing.
Yeah.
So like if you want to like stay like more involved with like what happens at Hunter and like like your student's life there, like you could also of course talk to like your child about it, but also like one thing I think that like I would also just plugging it because like I was in the newspaper, but Hunter has two newspapers that like publish every month around. And they often like distribute the papers throughout the school. So like almost every student has one. And I would say if you want to learn more about Hunter and like kind of like the inner workings of it, just like read, like ask your like child to like give you the newspaper and just like read what's on it. Cause like I feel like you learn like so much more and like it comes around like once a month. So pretty good like snapshots into like what actual Hunter students are writing about and also reading about as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the question came in, can you stay at school after hours? What is the policy for that? So I like my knee-jerk reaction is this. If you are my I would say yes, because when my daughter was leaving school, they just built or they just finished building, or maybe they were just starting to build this separate wing that connected the two parts of the building. So I don't know if they have completed that. They haven't, right? So, but anyway, there are places. Let me tell you, there are basketball games that happen just about every day, and the kids are staying in school late. So if you want to watch a basketball game going on, there is something going on at the gym all the time. So as far as like I could tell. Um, then, as I mentioned to you also before, if you have a child, the child wants to know something more about, say, a math problem or whatever, you could always go talk to the teacher. It's not like the bell rings and everybody out. Like you have your things to do. There are activities. There is a track and field practice that is actually happening just about every other day. There is like soccer practice. The girls play tennis from September to November, and they go back and forth because even if they go to their home court, which is in Central Park, they usually come back to school at the end, and it's like 7 p.m. and they're coming back to school to pick up their belongings, and then they go home. So I don't think that they would just throw you out of the school. Okay, your classes are over, go home. No, I think that you could always find something to do, and really you should. So because maybe, yeah, you could find yourself in a better place to sit down, concentrate, and do your homework, because sometimes there are other younger siblings and they create so much noise at home that you cannot concentrate, and you need to concentrate and do your homework. So there is like a library, there are always classrooms where you could sit down and do your work. I think so. That was, something. Who were some of your favorite teachers at the school? My favorite counselors. So as far as the counselor, we were assigned a counselor. Her name is Dr. Sue. And as I said, we build a relationship with her throughout the years. Between the ninth grade, when she was assigned to my daughter, every time there was a parent teacher conference, I made a point to sign up that piece of paper. Okay, we have two people in front of us. Okay, we'll wait, we'll go in. So we built that relationship. We were there twice a year for parent teacher conference, just the same way that we visited with other teachers. And what I started telling you yesterday, and I think I didn't finish my thought, the foreign language teachers, they're absolutely incredible. When I observed my daughter's Spanish class, I was really surprised because it was all in Spanish. The moment you walk into that class, it's all in Spanish. The teacher was actually from Spain, and she was asking questions and she was communicating with the class, and everybody needed to answer her questions in Spanish. For somebody who didn't speak a word of Spanish as a parent, I was like so surprised that the kids could have a conversation. And I think they just move the kids. And the teacher was standing there really involved, really trying to show them with her hands, with whatever, trying to solicit, kids' opinion. So I really, really enjoyed that. Our math teachers were wonderful. Our science teacher was wonderful. Um, I really did not dislike any one of the teachers. Now, there was one teacher I disliked, I have to say. The teacher of economics. But that was later. That was like in the 11th or 12th grade. It was the AP class.
I also think
And
that teacher
yeah,
retired. So
thank God.
you're in luck.
She was a military person, and she was very dry. And from our experience, that was the only one that my daughter wasn't happy with. And you know I mean, I was totally happy because I strongly feel that there are many teachers in life, and you gotta try to see what each person can teach you in this life. So there is something good to learn from them. And even with that teacher, even though she may not have been personable enough, she had the structure, she had this military approach. But that's also discipline, and that's also important. Yes, my daughter did take Spanish. I thought, no, I didn't think it was hard. She had no experience because we speak Russian at home. We do not speak Spanish. And my daughter also does not roll R's. It was very funny. Like when she said the professora, it was like, she said like R, like three letters R came out. And it was just like too cute. But it doesn't matter because they teach you grammar, they teach you right words, and they teach you very nice Spanish. And at some point, we went to Spain as tourists, and my daughter and I don't even remember where my husband was. I just remember I was with my daughter on the street, and we couldn't figure out how, we were trying to stop a taxi cab, and we couldn't. And then we noticed people on the street. And I said to my daughter, and she was like, I think in the 8th grade, I said, okay, you've been taking Spanish. Let's go over to those people and you ask them, how does the taxi cab work out here? And they very nicely explained to her that there are only particular stops where they will stop for you. So, but my daughter was able to communicate with them rather smoothly, I have to say. So I was like totally impressed with that. And no, I didn't think it was a harder class than any other class. Um, my one other parent's son took French, and I know that he did not have a very easy time with it, and he had to stay after school, and the French teacher, spent extra time with him. And my other friend, her son, well, I called them friends, but I did not know these people before the school started. So her son took Latin, and they went all over. They went to Princeton to compete with other schools, and her son was a part of that. And that was like such a cool thing. So, you know, that's that. Um, when do kids start studying for PSAT, SAT? Did you do that at Kweller? Absolutely, we did that at Kweller. And you want to start it as early as possible. So I would want Francis, if Francis, you can hear me, you would have a better advice. But my daughter did
Yeah, I'm
start
here. You can
early.
go, but Natalie started 9th grade Queller.
Okay.
You did P. So we have Natalie did SAT prep, but Alla specifically enrolled her when she was taking the PSAT. So this was
Right,
very early. So you
right.
were always ahead of the curve. So that I'll give you a big A+ for. Natalie took Queller's SAT class, but you had her at Kweller. I even remember, it's so funny that I remember this. I even remember you saying how her schedule is so complicated. You put her into night class at Kweller. So Natalie was an evening student for PSAT.
Right. So, I mean, she did really well at PSAT. I remember that. And we went back to the drawing board and we said, okay, how can we make it stellar? What do you need to do? And she ended up with 1580, I want to say. And so she also had like the top score at ACT that she was able to submit during the time of test optionals. So Natalie, my daughter, decided not to leave anything out there. Like, she wanted to provide to colleges everything that she had and the best of what she had. And maybe that is how you get accepted to your school of choice. But we did start early because it also gives you the opportunity, if you don't like the grade, you can study harder. You could study a longer time. You can remove the pressure. Oh my God, I only have 2 months. I better study so hard and I better get my 1600. Da, da, da. That's extra pressure. So, considering that the school it's a public school, you don't need to pay for school. So the choice that we made as a family, that we would want to invest into the prep for those tests and have everything done not at the 11th hour, but actually take our time and make sure that she moves along quite swiftly to her goal. So the different parents feel differently. I'm just here again to express my opinion and my opinion only. And I also think that you should defer to Frances. She has a lot more experience. She has a lot more kids go through her. And what we saw at Hunter, a lot of kids started very early. So when you go to the records of Hunter College High School and you look at their PSAT scores, let me tell you something. They're very high. And those don't
I
just
can
like,
actually I can pull it up again so the families have it. I'll send it over to
okay,
Michelle so that you have it. I just want to add really quickly that we had Kappa CAPA, which is like, I guess it's the Asian group. What does it stand for? So I just
Yeah.
want to let you know we had the group, and when we had that moment, I just want to share with you. Basically, we hosted a mock exam for all the kids, and we did it for free, and we were so excited. So we actually did it. I want to say at the end of 10th grade. Holy moly, these kids, like they did not even need us by the end of 10th grade. So these kids were straight up like 1550 at the end of 10th grade. So I do recommend that you start very early. When we hosted the Kappa, they came to Kweller. It was truly unbelievable. I can tell you on one hand how many kids were below 1500. So you really I want, and again, we saw a lot of familiar faces. We already knew a lot of the kids. What came as a big surprise was the volume of students who had a perfect score from a practice test. And we did our cute little Queller thing, $100 off, and you get a discount. And like no one even needed it because by the end of 10th grade, the kids were ready. So I do want to share, if you do the enrollment, definitely enrollment after 10th after ninth grade. So Kweller ninth grade, start early, and then you just never leave Kweller ever. Michelle, is this like the best sales you've ever learned ever, right? So you never leave, but basically 7th grade SHSAT, lay down the platform, and then from there again ninth grade. The end of 10th grade, 11th grade is too late. Michelle, I'm gonna send you something. If you could share screen it, that would be awesome. Okay, I'm gonna send it to you now.
Sounds good.
Right. So also, I want to stress something. If you see that your child is not having an easy time at one of the classes, be it English class or be it math class or chemistry or what have you, go to Queller, take a few classes, take a few private classes. You're going to put your child back, like if they missed a piece of information, instead of dragging it throughout the whole year, throughout the whole semester, and watch your child not do as well because they missed something important, go take a few classes. Okay, put your child back on the right path. And really, I think it's important. We did it a couple of times, throughout my daughter's academic career. And I would call Francis and I would say, hey, I do need a math teacher. And at some point, we didn't like the math teacher, the tutor. And I called Francis and I said, can I have another math tutor? Because this one seems to know as much as my daughter does. I need somebody who knows more. It happened, right, Francis? It happened. But so Francis was able to
Yeah, by
find.
the way, each math class, like stop, like, oh my God, like Bronx Science has the Euclidean geometry and Hunter has the college chemistry. I mean, the names of each class, we're custom, but I mean, 10 plus years ago, oh my goodness. So we've really learned a lot with the exact course. And Michelle is uploading something really good in a little bit. But go ahead, as you were saying.
Right. So that's my general advice to you. First of all, talk to your kids. They're adults. Ask for their opinion how they want to organize their life at Hunter. They're gonna enjoy it. It's a wonderful school. It has wonderful kids. It has wonderful teachers. Your kids belong there. Your kids are going to do just fine. They're going to do just fine. What you need to do is talk to them. Try to organize them. That is your duty as parents. You brought them so far. This is just like another little push. So yeah, and it's on you. And if you see that something may not be working out the way you want it, please go back to Queller. It's just a couple of private lessons and your child is back, right? So yeah.
By the way, most of the kids who fill our SAT class, that's all like return. Like this summer camp was 90% return customer. The other 10% were kids who have heard of Queller, who've a brother, sister, sibling, cousin. I just want to share. We used to do like bus advertising. We just like gave up. We don't do anymore. And as many of you know, I'm also the phone point of contact. So we really like keep it a tightly run business. This is not like a franchise or I was never into it. It's not the path and it's not the business model. So the legacy is there. And obviously Alla, who's able to work as a consultant and to help down the road. I also want to share, like, what are you going to work with? 5 people? I mean, max the whole year. So like realistically, like at the end of the day, like we're operating small, but giving a good impression. I do want to take a moment to share that this time I want to post, Michelle, if you're able to, I want to show the families.
Yep.
I want to show you the slides just so that you have an idea of scores. So I'd like to give you that. Michelle, are you able to share screen?
Yeah. Can you guys all see this?
Okay,
Coming
right.
up. I don't see it yet, but it should be coming up. Perfect. So if
Yeah.
we could make it really, really big, and then Ala, if you could kind of just go through it just from your perspective, this way everyone like knows the intel. Yeah, like really, really big. Or Michelle, if you could even read, I guess if you could, Michelle, it's better. Just read through some
Yeah.
of it, and Ala could add just so that you can go through the profile of the genii at the Hunter College High School. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
For sure. So this is looking at data from the class of 2024, so I think around 2 years ago. So they had 203 students and 100% of them attended college. And so the national merit is something that you get through like qualifying through like a certain score on the PSAT. I think it's like more than like a 1490 out of 1520. So there were 83 semifinalists and 69 finalists. Again, like this is like a national like scholarship competition. Terra STEM is more of like a science fair or like a citywide science fair. So people like submit their own individual research projects, often done with like labs. And they submit their posters, and one of them qualified for semifinalists. Scholastic Awards, I think they're writing and art awards that are given to students from like 9 to 12th grade. So any 100 student can apply. I think like one of my teachers like told me that like, oh, if you apply for this, like you get extra credit. So really like a lot of Hunter students just like win so many different awards. So there's gold keys. Keys are more like regional, like New York City wide, and then American Voice nominees and national winners are like people like on the actual national scale doing this. US presidential scholars are chosen through like things like commitment to like GPA, volunteer service, SAT score. Again, there were 12 candidates. So again, really, really impressive stuff. So for the SAT score, the like mean or the average for the reading was a 760, and the mean for the average or the average for mathematics is a 765. Again, like these are genuinely like I think they're in the top like 2% of America. Like again, these are out of 800. I think the national average is around like 100 like 1100, and like see like the mean here of like the total scores is like 1525. So again, really insane. The ACT is another like form of standardized test, and everything is out of 36. And as you can see here, like 100 students like consistently score like a 35, 34, etc. So yeah, like really, really amazing stuff. I remember hearing like I think the PSAT, I think the average, at least for my grade, was like a 1412, again out of 1520. So again, I think the national average was like a 960, just to like put things really in perspective for you guys here. And yeah, these are some of like the different colleges that the 2024 attended. As you can see here, like a lot of different like varieties of ones. 12 attended Cornell, 8 attended Columbia. I'm sure like, you know, you could probably run like more like data sets on this, but like as you can see, there's a lot of like top 20, a lot of like Ivy Leagues, like definitely like insane.
By the
So
way,
I
Hunter,
know,
oh, last thing. This is it's about 100 points higher than Stuyvesant. I just want to put that out there.
Yes.
I know for a fact because when I take kids to visit Stuyvesant, they always say that Hunter's SAT scores are higher. So it's always like a talking point. But go right ahead. I'm on mute.
so no, what you're looking at, this page of who got where, you get it at the PTA meeting towards the end of the school year. So if you attend the PTA meeting, they kind of like hand you this so that you could look and see how many kids got to which colleges were the choice there, that kids, got into most. So I remember that when I was able to get that, I would just send it straight to Francis and say, "Well, I want you to see this," So I guess now it's
I know. I got other intel.
right.
It's still
So
you're
now
still my
you
favorite.
right, you get better intel. Then but all in all, like you could see that at least 25%, because I think my daughter graduated 1 second. My daughter is the class of 2022, right? So I should have hers. So they had about between 25 and 30% of kids went to Ivies. So, yeah. I mean, look, all the schools are great. This is what I'm trying to say. Every school is a wonderful school. And it's 100% of kids who are heading to college. So in it by itself, it is great. The question is, where does your child want to study? What do they want to do? So if you guys are interested within this upcoming school year, I'm pretty sure that my daughter can walk you around the University of Pennsylvania
And
and show
I was
you.
about to add, Natalie did come to Queller for the college app process, and then she guided students with college apps. I just want to share with you that she was here until the very end, from Regal Park, Queens, to Queller and Forest Hills, to Hunter. Oh my goodness. So I want to share that with you. Please don't forget, guys. Come back. Okay, go ahead.
Right. So that's my biggest advice. Nothing is ever lost. There is no despair in anything. If you see that your child needs extra help, you know where to find it. Just don't leave it there, because it's like a toothache. It doesn't go away by itself. You need to go and approach it and work on it. So don't just let it linger. Just the moment you recognize that there is an issue, just take care of it. And your child is back feeling good about themselves, and they're going to be successful. And yeah, let's see if there's any other questions. I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, channel them to Francis. We could always, you know, answer them for you. And that's all that I have for you guys today.
So, oh, my Jacob is here. Jacob, say congratulations. You finished the webinar.
Yay!
Jacob, say congratulations.
Congratulations.
You finished the webinar. Say you finished the webinar. Oh, he's so cute. All right, ready? One day, who's gonna tutor him? Michelle, would you tutor the boss's kid? No, right? Nobody wants that job. Oh, you're so good. Nobody. Everyone's scared. The pressure. Here's what I want to share with you. Oh, you know what? You could also add. What about the Hunter Gala, the auction? Did you go to that?
Yes. So that happened somewhere at the beginning of the school year. We went, I don't remember, maybe it was the summer. So basically, they do have the auction. You walk in and you have like a jazz group, which is composed of the kids from Hunter. It's playing, there are drinks. It's really, everybody's dressed nicely, because there were a couple of people, my husband included, that wasn't wearing a suit. Well, you have to wear nice clothes because it's like an evening affair. And yeah, they're auctioning things that parents donate, and it's just to benefit the school. Another thing that I think it was the principal or assistant principal once shared with me, that they treat this school the same way. You know how the school with the disabled kids are? They're specialized schools, and they get extra funding. Because this school houses very bright kids, they also ask every year for higher amount of funding, because they treat this school as a specialized school. Because it also takes a lot more resources to challenge those who are ahead of the curve, just as much as it takes for those who are below the curve. So yeah, I just thought it was interesting. And again, this is where we made friends at the gala event. My husband and I, we walked in, we did not know anybody. But by the time the gala event was over, even before it was over, we have met maybe 5 or 6 different families that we were very friendly with throughout the duration of the school experience. And it's always nice to know people.
I
Yeah.
attended the Tavern and the Green Gala. It was so beautiful. I actually took Mateo. Sorry, Michelle, I didn't have you back then, but he was like, "Wow, this is so nice." We set up a gorgeous table, and we did the advertising, but it was really nice to attend. I know Bill Clinton, both his grandchildren are at Hunter. I have quite a
Oh,
lot to say on that, but I won't now. But I think it's remarkable that he chose Hunter for his grandchildren. That speaks volumes. So Michelle, you know that, right? You do, you know that.
Yep, yep. I think Hillary
listen, it's
Clinton is like speaking in Hunter in the fall.
So yeah, so he attended the gala the year before, and I have to say, like the Hunter really like. So at Kweller Prep, we could have gone to Anderson. It was at Prince George Ballroom. So this is a fun part of the business. We go to all these galas and fundraisers and stuff at the end of the year, to market, of course, and so that everyone has our rainbow highlighters. But I will say Hunter was in a league of its own. I mean, that fundraiser, if any of the parents are going to be in the gala committee, reach out because it changes every year. But I have to say, Tavern on the Green was really nice. It was quite the experience. There was a competing event that evening. I didn't go to the other one. By the way, quite a few parents went to two because Anderson's was the same night at Prince George Ballroom. I want to say the fundraiser. I want to say I might be wrong, but they possibly raised several million in one night. So I don't have exact numbers, but I can tell you that the fundraiser's no joke. They really like do a lot to give kids access to stuff for free. And that's really what you don't see so much. It's kind of sad, but it is true. Like you don't see it in Queens, and you don't see like that level of fundraising by the PA